Welcome to Chapter 3 of Diego and the Mysterious Floating Donut, a fun adventure with some math challenges thrown in. Now, if you checked out Chapter 2, you'll remember that Diego had just taken a secret tunnel that led from his bedroom to the lovely land of donuts, and he'd never been so happy in his entire life. So, let's find out what happens next in Chapter 3, shall we? Here we go! Well, Diego is standing in the lovely land of donuts, and besides the sun being a donut, and the clouds, and car wheels, and basketballs, trees, and pizza, Diego saw that clocks, frogs, and dolphins were donuts too. "This place is amazing!" he screamed. As he looked around, Diego suddenly heard the sound of a train, and then saw one coming down some tracks that he happened to be standing near. There was a big sign on the train that said, "The Donut Express." When the train pulled up on the tracks, he noticed that the conductor was a small brown dog. Now, Diego was usually a bit scared of dogs he didn't know, but this one looked cute and pretty friendly. You know, floppy ears and a shiny black nose. Anyway, the funny thing about the dog was his tail. The dog's tail was going straight through the center of 10 donuts, and they were stacked up on it like a stack of pancakes. Now, if each of the 10 donuts on the dog's tail had 5 giant sprinkles on it, how many giant sprinkles were there in total? Now might be a good time to pause the video to give yourself some time to think. If there were 10 donuts and each donut had 5 sprinkles on it, one way we can find out how many sprinkles there were in total is by counting by 5s. Like this: 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. The 10 donuts had 50 sprinkles on them. Now, let's get back to the story. The doggy conductor looked at Diego, waved, and said, "Please board the train." Now, as we saw in Chapter 1, Diego thought talking donuts were okay, but when it came to talking dogs, he wasn't so sure he could believe it. "You can talk?" asked Diego. "Of course I can talk," said the dog. "If I couldn't, I wouldn't be able to order scrumptious donuts over at the donut shop." "The donut shop?" "Yep. That's the only place this train goes, to the donut shop. Now hurry and hop on. I'm kind of having a donut emergency. I need donuts like right now." Diego shrugged and figured a donut shop was as good a place as any to go when you're in the lovely land of donuts. Diego stepped onto the train and the doors closed behind him. He noticed there was no one else on the train, and he noticed that the seats were the shape of donuts. The dog asked him to sit down on one. After Diego sat, the dog said, "Let me introduce myself. I'm Gus Donut Tail, the conductor of this train of donut delights." "Hi, I'm Diego," said Diego. "Glad to meet you," said Gus. "Are you ready to rumble off to the sweet donut shop?" "Yes," said Diego. Gus turned towards the front of the train and pressed a button, which started the train moving slowly along the tracks. "You better secure your seatbelt," said Gus. "This train can really get rolling down the rails. As a matter of fact, I think you better put on 7 seatbelts, as it's a super duper lumpy bumpy ride to the donut shop." Diego saw that the seat had seatbelts numbered from 1 to 14. If Diego buckled 7 of the seatbelts, how many seatbelts were left unbuckled? Now might be a good time to pause the video to give yourself some time to think. Now let's see. If there were 14 seatbelts and Diego buckled 7 of them, you can use your doubles facts to figure out how many of the seatbelts were left unbuckled. We know that 7 plus 7 is 14, so there must have been 7 unbuckled seatbelts because there were 7 buckled seatbelts. Now, let's get back to the story. The train began to move faster and faster. While it had started slowly like a bicycle, it sped up to the speed of a car, and then to the speed of an airplane, and all of a sudden it got really fast and it was moving as fast as a rocket ship. "I love fast trains," said Gus as he began wagging his tail in excitement. As he wagged his tail, the train started bumping around, and Diego noticed that the donuts with sprinkles started flying off Gus's tail and thumping against the walls of the train. "Hey Gus," said Diego, "do you think I can eat one of those donuts? I sure am hungry." "Sure, have one," said Gus. "Donuts are my favorite food," said Diego as he grabbed and swallowed an entire donut. "They're my favorite food too," said Gus as he shoved 3 entire donuts into his mouth and swallowed them whole. Suddenly, the train started turning around on a sharp curve and Diego almost fell out of his donut seat. "Whoa! Lucky I have these 7 seatbelts on," said Diego. "Now how much further to the donut shop?" "No more than 5 sweet minutes," said Gus. "Good, but I'm still really hungry for donuts," declared Diego as he grabbed 2 more donuts straight off Gus's tail and ate them. If Gus still had 10 donuts on his tail, and they followed a pattern, chocolate, strawberry, how many of the donuts would be chocolate and how many would be strawberry? Now might be a good time to pause the video to give yourself some time to think. If you have 10 donuts and they follow a pattern, chocolate, strawberry, you can look at a picture and count the chocolate ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you could count the strawberry donuts, or you might realize that half of 10 is 5 from your doubles facts, so there must be 5 strawberry donuts also. 5 plus 5 is 10. Now, let's get back to the story. After 5 minutes had passed, the train began to slow down and finally stopped at a station. "Donut Shop Station! Donut Shop Station!" announced Gus through a microphone. Diego got up and stepped out of the train. He saw they were in the exact same place as they were when they'd started the train ride. "Hey, we didn't go anywhere," said Diego to Gus. "That's because we were already at the donut shop when we started," said Gus. Diego turned around and saw that there was a donut shop right behind him. "Then why did we take the train?" asked Diego. "Because I like trains," said Gus. "Yeah, me too," agreed Diego. Diego turned around and tried to pull open the door of the donut shop. It was locked. But there was a little sign that said, "To open the door, press the button near the only number that is bigger when you read it backwards." The numbers were 32, 41, and 37. Now might be a good time to pause the video to give yourself some time to think. Okay, let's read each number backwards to see if it's bigger. 32 backwards is 23, and 23 is smaller than 32. 41 backwards is 14, and 14 is less than 41. 37 backwards is 73, and 73 is greater than 37, so I guess 37 was the right button to press. Now, let's get back to the story. Diego pushed the button next to the 37 and the door unlocked. He pulled it open and he and Gus walked into the donut shop. Inside the shop, it smelled even better than it had smelled outside. There were racks and racks of freshly fried donuts. The shop must have had every flavor in the world. Donuts seemed to go on for miles and miles and miles. There was a woman behind the counter, and when Diego and Gus came in, she said, "Hey Gus, how are you?" "I'm good," said Gus, "but really hungry for donuts." "Well, you've come to the right place. And who is your friend here?" asked the woman as she looked at Diego. "I'm Diego," said Diego. "Hi Diego, I'm Donna. Donna Donut, the queen of all things donut. Now, how can I help you?" "Well, I'd like 100 of your donuts," said Diego. 100, really? asked Donna. "That's a lot of donuts." "Yup, they all look so delicioso," said Diego. "I have to try at least 100 of them." "Okay, 100 donuts coming right up," said Donna. Diego had really been joking when he'd ordered 100 donuts. His mom had told him he was going to have 0 donuts that day, and he'd already eaten 30 donuts while he was coming up the tube from his room to the lovely land of donuts, and then another 16 on the train ride with Gus. How many donuts had Diego eaten in total that day already? Now might be a good time to pause the video to give yourself some time to think. If Diego had eaten 30 donuts on his way up the tube, and another 16 when he was on the train, we have to add 30 and 16 to find out how many donuts Diego ate in total. Well, I know 30 is 3 tens, and 16 has one more 10, so I'll put that with the 30 to get 40, and then there's 6 ones left over. So Diego must have eaten 46 donuts that day. That's a lot of donuts. Now, let's get back to the story. Well, a few minutes later, Donna came back with 10 boxes of donuts. If there were 100 donuts in total, how many donuts were in each box, if each box had the same amount of donuts? Now might be a good time to pause the video to give yourself some time to think. Well, I know there's 10 boxes of donuts. Now I have to figure out how many donuts are in each box to give me 100 donuts. For instance, if there were 2 donuts in each box, that would be 10 twos or 20 donuts. So I need more than that. So how many tens does it take to make 100? Oh yeah, 10 tens makes 100. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So each box of donuts had 10 donuts in it. Now, let's get back to the story. Donna plopped all 10 boxes down onto the counter. That will be $100, she said. A worried look came across Diego's face because he didn't have that much money. Donna looked at Diego. I'm thinking you don't have a lot of money. Diego reached into his pocket and found 1 nickel, 1 dime, and 1 penny. That's all I have, said Diego as he put it on the counter. How much money did Diego put on the counter in total? Now might be a good time to pause the video to give yourself some time to think. Well, Diego had 1 dime, 1 nickel, and 1 penny. A dime is 10 cents, a nickel is worth 5 cents, and a penny is 1 cent. So, add those up, you get 10 plus 5, which is 15, and 1 more, which is 16. Diego had 16 cents, which wasn't enough to buy the 100 donuts. Now, let's get back to the story. Donna Donut shook her head. I can't give you 100 donuts for 16 cents. Can I have maybe 1 donut for 16 cents? Asked Diego hopefully. Well, said Donna, each donut actually costs $1. Diego felt disappointed because he was really hungry for a donut. I'll tell you what, said Donna. Do you like math? Yes, said Diego, it's my favorite subject at school. Great, said Donna, and she continued. I've been trying to solve this math challenge but can't get the answer. If you can help me, I'll give you these 100 donuts for free. You will? Asked Diego excitedly. Yes, I will. So here's the math challenge. Are you ready? Yes, 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 said Diego. Donna continued. Someone ordered 3 boxes of donuts for a birthday party, but then they called back and said to double the order of 3 boxes. Later, they called back and said to double the number of boxes again. I just can't figure out how many boxes of donuts I need to prepare. Can you? Now might be a good time to pause the video to give yourself some time to think. If Donna Donut got an order for 3 boxes of donuts, and then the person called back and said to double the order, that would be 3 plus 3 boxes, or 6 boxes of donuts. But then the person called back again and said to double that order. So that would be 6 plus 6 boxes, And 6 plus 6 is 12 boxes of donuts. Now, let's get back to the story. Oh, I know. That's so easy squeezy, yelled Gus the pup. It's obviously 61 boxes of donuts. No, it's not 61, said Diego to the dog. And then he turned to Donna and said, I think I know the answer. It's 12 boxes of donuts. Donna thought about it. Yes, I think 12's correct. Thanks for helping me. Here are your 100 donuts. Donna handed Diego the 10 boxes of donuts. The pile of boxes was so tall that Diego could barely balance it. Thank you, said Diego to Donna. Oh, you're so welcome, and enjoy your donuts. Diego carefully walked out of the donut shop holding the 10 boxes. Now I have to find that tube so I can get back to my room with these 100 donuts, said Diego. It has to be here somewhere. While he walked around with the 10 boxes of donuts looking for the tube, he heard Gus's doggy footsteps following behind him. Sorry for getting the problem wrong, said Gus. I always seem to make math mistakes. That's okay, said Diego. You just have to practice a bit more. Anyone can learn math. Diego kept looking for the tube in the ground. He knew it had to be near where they were, but he couldn't find it. He was beginning to get worried that he wouldn't be able to ever get back home. As he searched the sidewalk for the tube, he heard a loud rumbling sound. It was as if the whole sidewalk was shaking. As a matter of fact, the sidewalk was shaking, and he almost dropped all 10 boxes of donuts. Diego looked around and saw 2 giant animals coming towards them. Help! Dinosaurs! Yelled Diego. Gus yelled, Those aren't dinosaurs! Those are way worse than dinosaurs! Those are donut dragons! What are donut dragons? Asked Diego. They're dragons that love lovely donuts, especially 10 boxes of donuts. Run! Fast! Diego looked up and saw 2 dragons coming right towards him. He began running with the 10 boxes of donuts, trying not to drop them. He heard the dragons yelling,
Give us those donuts! We're donut dragons and we want your donuts!
Diego was terrified. He couldn't believe he was being chased by donut dragons in the lovely land of donuts. Now Diego was running as fast as he could. As a matter of fact, his legs were moving so fast he was taking twice as many steps as the dragons were taking. If Diego ran for 8 steps, how many steps had the dragons taken? Now might be a good time to pause the video to give yourself some time to think. Well, if the dragons were taking half as many steps as Diego, and Diego had taken 8 steps, we need to figure out what half of 8 is. One way to solve this is to use our doubles facts. If we know that 4 plus 4 is 8, then 4 has to be half of 8. The dragons had taken 4 steps, and Diego had taken 8. Lucky he was running so fast. Now, let's get back to our story. Diego was running and balancing the boxes of donuts as he yelled at the donut dragons. You will never ever get my donuts. I love them too much.
We love your donuts too,
yelled the dragons, who were speeding up and getting closer and closer. Soon Diego could feel the fire coming from their nostrils.
Give us those donuts or we'll fry them with our fire,
screamed the dragons. Just as they said it, Diego saw the tube in the ground. He ran over to it, but there was a locked door on top. Oh no, yelled Diego, those donut dragons are going to get us. As he screamed, a sign popped up on the door of the tube. To open the door, please type in what 9 and 6 is. Now might be a good time to pause the video to give yourself some time to think. Well, one way you can figure out what 9 plus 6 is by taking 1 away from the 6 and adding it to the 9, because 9 and 1 is 10. Then you'll have 5 left over, and 10 plus 5 is 15. Now let's get back to the story. Well, it only took Diego a second to press 15. The door swung open just as the dragons reached out and grabbed 3 of the boxes of donuts. If there had been 10 boxes, how many boxes were left? Now might be a good time to pause the video to give yourself some time to think. If Diego had 10 boxes of donuts and the donut dragons took 3 boxes away from him, one way to find out how many were left is by counting back 3 times. So let's count back 3 times from 10. 1, 2, 3. You can see that we take away the 10, the 9, and the 8. So Diego was left with 7 boxes of donuts. That's quite a few boxes of donuts. Now let's get back to the story. Diego jumped down into the tube. He saw that the ladder was gone and the tube was now just like a giant slide. Diego slid down and down as fast as he could. He could feel the dragon's fire and smell the dragon's smoke following him down the tube.
We want all 100 of your donuts,
they yelled as they slid behind Diego. Diego passed all the places he had seen on the way up. He saw the giant donuts. He saw the mini donuts. He saw the platform with the 2 boxes of donuts. And then finally, in front of him, he saw a light and realized it was a light coming from his room. If Diego had been sliding for 1/2 hour and he began sliding at 2:30, what time was it now? This might be a good time to pause the video to give yourself some time to think. If Diego had been sliding for half an hour and he'd started at 2:30, we have to know a little bit about telling time to solve this. If we do, we know that from 2:30 to 3 o'clock is a half an hour. So Diego stopped sliding at 3 o'clock. Now let's get back to the story. Diego slid right towards the light, and when he hit the end of the slide, he took off like an airplane and flew through the air right into his bed. The donut door slammed shut behind him just in time to keep the donut dragons out. He heard the dragons banging on the door, but the donut door was strong and wouldn't open.
let us in.
Hissed the dragons.
We want your donuts.
Diego ignored the dragons and he heard the talking donut say, "Welcome back." "Thanks," said Diego. "The lovely land of donuts was amazing." "Yes, it is," said the floating donut, which slowly began to disappear before Diego's eyes. After the donut disappeared, Diego looked in his bed and was happy to see that all 7 of the remaining boxes of donuts were in his bed with him. He wondered what happened to Gus the dog. Had the donut dragons caught him? Do donut dragons eat dogs? As Diego thought and wondered about Gus, he noticed one of the donut boxes seemed to be moving. What could that be, he thought, and he quickly opened the box to make sure it wasn't any kind of baby donut dragon or something. Diego looked, and it wasn't a dragon. He saw that it was Gus hiding between 2 caramel cream donuts. "Hello there," said Gus. "Hi," said Diego. "Welcome to my room." "Thanks," said Gus. "Are the dragons gone?" "Well, I think we're safe for now," said Diego. "I hope so. There's nothing worse than donut dragons," said Gus. "Either they eat all of your donuts or barbecue them with their fire. And I don't really like burned donuts, do you?" "No, burnt donuts are disgusting," said Diego. "Hey, let's eat some of these," said Gus, pointing to the boxes full of donuts. "They smell so good." "Okay," said Diego, as he opened a box of the donuts. Diego saw that 7 of the donuts must have fallen out when he was on the slide back to his room. How many of the 10 donuts were left in the box? Now might be a good time to pause the video to give yourself some time to think. Well, let's see. If 7 donuts had fallen out, that would be 10 minus 7 donuts. Now counting back 7 times is quite a bit, so it might be easier to use your ways to make 10 facts to see that 7 plus 3 is 10, and then you'll know that there's 3 donuts left in the box because 7 had fallen out. Now, let's get back to the story. Diego and Gus each grabbed a donut, and just as they were about to bite into them, there was a knock on the door. "Dragons!" yelled Gus. No, it's worse. It's my mom, yelled Diego. She's going to give me another timeout if I eat even one donut today. Diego rushed to put his donut back into the box, and he hid the 7 boxes and Gus under his bed. The door swung open. Diego, do I smell donuts? Are you eating donuts in here? No, Mama. I didn't eat anything all day, I promise, lied Diego. Tune in to Chapter 4 to find out what happens next. Or check out one of my math songs to help review and learn your addition and subtraction facts. Have a great day.